Hello, dear students. I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to a new lecture. Today, we're going to take a new grammar lesson entitled Quoted and Reported Speech. What are the learning objectives? By the end of this lecture, you will be able to distinguish between quoted and reported speech, and will also be able to change sentences from the quoted to the reported speech and vice versa. Here's the table of contents. This lecture will cover an introduction of what a quoted speech is, how to change from quoted to reported speech, also reporting sentences, commands, yes, no questions, and the WH questions, and then changing back from the reported speech to the quoted speech. So we're going to start first with the quoted speech. So what is quoted speech? Quoted speech is also referred to as direct speech, which is the idea that the person directly said. And it also states the exact words said by a speaker. So the speaker said something, the quoted speech would quote between quotations, as you can see here, exactly what that person said. So as you can see, Jordan said, we must submit the paper before the deadline. So Jordan, this is the speaker, and I have the reporting word, which is said, then followed by a comma, and then I open quotations, and between those quotations, I put exactly the words that this person said without changing anything in them. So this person said, we must submit the paper before the deadline. We refers to Jordan and some other people. So again, this is what this person said. That's why it's called the quoted speech. We're quoting exactly the direct speech of the speaker and writing the exact words the speaker said. Or another example, you aren't paying attention, the teacher told the students. This is also another example in which what the teacher, who's the speaker here, telling the students is, you aren't paying attention. So I'm not the one who's saying you aren't paying attention. The teacher said this. That's why I quoted what the teacher said between two quotations. All right. And I start what that person said with a capital letter here. And as you can see, the sentence structure could change. So you could start by saying this person said and this, and then quote what that person said, or you could write what that person said between quotations and then write by whom. Okay, so how do we write quoted speech? To write the quoted speech, you have to observe the following 4 rules. First rule is you place a comma after reporting verbs. Reporting verbs like said, told, claimed, exclaimed, asked, required. Okay, those are reporting verbs. So I say the name of the person, like Jordan, and then said, and then I should place a comma after this reporting verb. The second step is to put the speaker's exact words without changing anything between quotations. So after the comma, I open quotations and I write everything that person said between those quotations. And as you can see, when I wrote what that person said, I capitalized the first word in this sentence. For example, Janet said, please bring me the tablet. So please, the letter P of the word please, which is starting this sentence, which Janet said, is capitalized. So again, Janet is the person who said this. I wrote her name, then the reporting verb followed by a comma, then I open the quotations, first letter should be capitalized, and then I report, okay? Or sorry, I quote, not report, I quote what Janet said without making any change. And as you can see, after writing the whole sentence, I have the punctuation mark, whether it's a point, a question mark, or an exclamation mark. Where do I put it? Inside the quotation. So before I close the quotations, I should put the punctuation. All right, so first place a comma after the reporting verb, then open the quotations and write the exact words without making any change to them, then capitalize the first word of the quoted sentence, and before you close the quotations, by the end of this sentence, put the punctuation inside those quotations. All right, this is how we write quoted speech, again, in which we're quoting the direct speech, what that person said, the exact words of that speaker. You have also to note that when a quoted speech is divided, so when someone said two things and I want to say those two things, you have to put a comma after the first part of the quoted. And the first word of the second half of it should not be capitalized. So again, we said, this is the first part, for example, I believe, said Jeremy. So Jeremy said that she believes. So between quotations, she said, I believe. We wrote, I believe, and I should be capitalized always. And here specifically in the first quotation, it should be capitalized. Then we put a comma to separate them and open another quotation to write the other quote. However, as you can see, that the world is a weird place. That is not capitalized. So again, when we have two things quoted, we should separate them by a comma and we should start the second half of the quote without capitalization. Okay, now how do we change from this speech, which is the quoted speech we just introduced, to the reported speech, in which I want to report what that person said, but in my own words. In the first place, we were quoting what that person said in their own words without making any change, and now we're going to report it in our own words. But for sure, we do not change the main idea, we just change the tense. So again, how to change from the quoted to the reported speech? You have three main steps. First, you have to remove the quotations. Then you have to use reporting verbs such as said, exclaimed, or stated. Then you have to move one step back in the timeline, which is the tense. So, for example, every present tense becomes its counterpart in the past tense, like present simple becomes past simple. Okay, present continuous becomes past continuous. Present perfect becomes past perfect. All right, so you have to remove the quotations, use reporting verbs like said, exclaimed, stated. You choose whatever suits you, and then you move one step back in the timeline. You have to note that when you have those words, this is in the quoted speech, this is how you change them when you want to use them in the reported. So if in the quoted there is this, in the reported we say that. If there is here in the quoted, in the reported it would be there. If the person in the quoted said last night, and I'm reporting what that person said, I can replace last night by the night before or the previous night. Or next week, it could be replaced by the following week. Last year, the year before, or the previous year. Next Monday would be replaced by the Monday after or the following Monday. Okay, so again, those, the ones written first in the first column, are the ones in the quoted speech, and when we're going to change it to the reported speech, we replace them with the other column. Here's an important note. When you change from the quoted to the reported speech, we said that you have to move one step back in the timeline. So the present simple, if in the quoted the person is the verb used or being used is in the present simple, in the reported, we write the verb in the past simple. If it's in the present continuous, we write it in the past continuous. If it's in the present perfect, we write it in the past perfect. If it's past simple, we move it to past perfect. However, past perfect remains the same. So past perfect stays past perfect. We do not change it. And past perfect continuous stays past perfect continuous. Here you have a detailed table with each tense, okay? And if I want to change this tense from the quoted to the reported, so from the direct or quoted to the reported, how I change it or to which tense does it change? So here, if the tense in the direct speech is present simple, like she always wears, she wears, present simple, in the reported, it should be written as we said in the past simple. So she said that she always wore. So he wears, present simple, wore in the past simple. Present continuous should be changed to the past continuous. So I'm looking for my keys. He said that he was looking. So I am, he was, and looking for his keys. Past simple should be turned into past perfect. Like my friend gave me a bar of chocolate. He said that his friend had given him a bar of chocolate. So we already studied all the tenses, so we already know the forms of each of the tenses or the form of each of the tenses. So gave, past simple of the verb gave, and here had plus past participle of verb give, which is given. So had given, gave, changed to had given. Past continuous changes to past perfect continuous. So you have to study those. To each tense, to which tense does it change from quoted to reported? Okay, direct also means quoted. We said that. So past continuous changes to past perfect continuous, the one before it. Present to past and past to perfect. So past continuous, past perfect continuous. We were living in London. They said that they had been living in London. Remember, verb to be plus main verb plus ing in past continuous. Verb to be in the past plus main verb plus ing. This is the form. Here we have had plus been plus main verb plus ing to write it in the past perfect continuous. Present perfect, we said, goes to past perfect. So she has written 3 letters. She said that she had written 3 letters. Okay, has or have plus past participle, had plus past participle. That's the form for past perfect. From past perfect to reported, it does not change and stays the same. So it's still past perfect. For example, the bread had gone stale. She said the bread had gone stale. So had gone, had gone. Past perfect continuous also stays past perfect continuous. There's no tense before it, so it stays the same. So, for example, he had been teaching in my school for 15 years. They said that he had been teaching in their school for 15 years. Will would be would would stay would. So will to would. I will finish my report in 2 days. He said that he would finish his report in 2 days, not he will finish. He said that he would finish. Then would, we said, stays would. He would work in the garden. They said that he would work in the garden. We have more. Can changes to could stays could. Shall changes to should. This should be should, not would. Shall changes to would, and should stays should. May changes to might, and might stays might. Must could be must or had to, and have to changes to had to. All right. Now, how do we report statements, commands, yes, no questions, and WH questions? So we have learned already these 3 steps to change from quoted speech to reported speech. Now, when we are reporting, we could be reporting statements, just a statement, a simple sentence, or a complete sentence, doesn't have to necessarily be simple. Commands, okay, or requests, yes, no questions, and WH questions. We're going to look at each one separately. So first, starting with reporting statements. If I have a statement, what's a statement? It's a regular sentence that expresses a complete thought, subject, verb, and a complete thought. Okay, let's look at this example. First example, which is a statement. Okay, I don't think that we should cancel this trip. Someone said this, so it's quoted between quotations, the comma inside the quotations, capitalized, father said. Okay, and we could write it the other way around. Father said, and then we open quotations. I don't think that we should cancel this trip, and then there would be a point, and then we close the quotations. Now we want to change this statement to the reported speech. So first step, we keep father said, but we remove the quotations. Said that, okay? If he is talking here about himself and saying I, we should replace it by he. So he, don't in the present should be changed to the past. We said present changes to the past. So he didn't think that we should cancel that trip. Again, I don't think that we should cancel this trip. father said? Father said that he didn't think that we should cancel that trip. Let's look at another example. The weather was very annoying yesterday, Greg said. Greg said that the weather, we have was, which is past simple. It should be changed to past, or sorry, we have a was annoying. So past progressive, it should be changed to past perfect progressive. So had been annoying. The weather had been annoying the previous day. And you have example 3 and example 4. Now, how do we report commands or requests when someone is commanding you? So when reporting commands or requests, you have to use the infinitive form, which is to plus base form. So to do this. For example, get out of this place, the manager told the customer. The manager told the customer to get out of this place. So we use the infinitive form in which we write to and then the base form of the verb. Again, get out of this place. That's what the manager ordered, requested, commanded the customer to do. So this is what the manager said. We are just quoting what the manager said between brackets, the direct speech without making any change. So we put it between quotations. Okay, capitalize the first word and comma inside the quotation. Now we're changing it from quoted to reported. So we start by who said this? The manager told the customer. We have get, so we say to get out of this place. Another example, close the door, the teacher told Ali. The teacher told Ali to close the door. So to plus base form of verb close, which is close. Again, Sam told his brother, do not touch my tablet. Okay, here we have it in the negative form. Do not touch my tablet. So when we want to change it to reported, we say not to. So do not, we say not to plus base form. So not to touch my tablet or his tablet. So Sam told his brother not to touch his tablet. Again, get out, to get out, okay? Do not get out, we say not to get out. So replace do not plus base form of the verb by not plus to plus base form of the verb. Okay, so you make sure you do not split the infinitive. Here, not to plus base form of the verb. Then, do not allow anyone into my office, the manager told his assistant. So the manager told his assistant not to allow anyone into his office. All right, so just memorize and follow this form. Then we have how to report yes, no questions. When reporting yes, no questions, you have to use if or whether. For example, do you agree with that or with what Salma said? Do you agree with what Salma said? The boss asked me. The boss asked me if I agree with what Salma had said. So said, again, remember, past simple, it goes back to perfect, past perfect. So said, had said. Okay, and because it's a question, yes, no question. So do you agree? The answer would be yes, I agree, or no, I do not agree. That's why I call it a yes, no question. So when I'm changing a yes, no question from quoted to reported speech, I say if or whether, and then I continue. So do you agree? So he asked me if I agree or whether I agree. Another example, did you enjoy your meal? The waiter asked the family. So the waiter asked the family if they enjoyed the meal or their meal. Your changed to their. Okay, you changed to they. All right, and we have did, past simple, changed to had, past perfect. Last but not least, reporting WH questions. When reporting a WH question, you have to use the same WH word and put the subject before the verb because it's no longer a question when you report it. For example, why aren't you working on your project? Sam asked Daisy. Here it's a question. WH question starting with why or who or how or where. Okay, so why aren't you working on your project? Question mark inside the quotations. Okay, the beginning of this sentence quoted is capitalized. Remember the rules? And then Sam said or asked Daisy or told or whatever. Now I want to change it from quoted to reported. So Sam asked Daisy why she wasn't working on her project. Here, when we're changing it from quoted to reported, it's no longer written in a question form. That's why what we should do is that first, keep the same WH question, which is why. And here we have the verb, then the subject, so you have to switch them. Why she wasn't, instead of say, why aren't you? Okay, we do not say why wasn't she, we say why she wasn't working on her project. So it's no longer a question. We keep the WH word and then we switch the verb and the subject. So aren't you? She wasn't. Okay, you changed to she, aren't changed to wasn't because present changed to past, and we changed the position of verb and subject to be subject then verb. Another example, mom asked, who saw my phone? So mom asked who had seen her phone. Okay. Now, the last thing in this lecture is changing back to quoted speech. So we have already learned all the steps and the changes in the tenses and types of what we're changing, whether it's a statement, WH question, yes, no question, or a command or request. Now we have to change back from reported to the quoted speech. So we have to do all the steps backwards. So let's look at this example. Rena said that the homework was easy. This is reported. We're taking it back to quoted. Rena said, I put the comma back. I open the quotations again. And then what she said, I write it again. And I go back to the original tense. So here was easy. Was is past simple. I know past simple, what was originally is present simple. So was goes to is. The homework was easy. The homework is easy here. So Rena said, between quotations, the homework is easy. Rena said, that the homework was easy. Okay, so was past simple, we take it back to present simple because we know from quoted to reported is from present to past simple. So when we're taking it back, it goes back from past to present. We put back the quotations which we removed in the reported. The point is inside the quotation. First quote capitalized and comma after the reporting verb. Okay, so here we do things as we said the other way around. First, put the speaker's exact words in quotation marks and follow the proper form of the quoted speech, which we said capitalize and point or whatever the punctuation mark is inside the quotations. Second, move in the timeline back to the original one. So past tenses go again to the present tenses and past perfect go again to past simple tenses. So you put the verbs in the tenses they were originally in when the speaker said them. And last thing, the past perfect becomes past simple. Okay. Here are different examples. First one, again, remember those examples are unreported, changing them back to quoted. He said that he had spoken to the manager. He said, comma, I open quotations. He had spoken, so that's what he said, I, because he said this about himself. So he changes back to I, had spoken, perfect, past perfect goes back to past simple. So I spoke to the manager and the punctuation, which is the point inside the quotation, and the first word inside the first quote is capitalized, which is I. Another example, Janet said that she had eaten a nice meal the day before. Janet said, comma, I open quotations. She said she was saying about herself, so I. Here we're reporting what she said. We used she. Here she was talking about herself. That's what she said. So we take she back to I. Had eaten, past perfect, goes back to past simple. So I ate a nice meal yesterday. I is capitalized and the punctuation is inside the quotation mark. Okay, same for the all other examples. Here you have more examples. And That's it for this lecture. We have so many rules, okay, quite some rules, but if you understand them and you just follow the rules, especially for the tenses, okay, and the steps for changing from quoted to reported and the other way around, everything would be clear. So just study them, memorize the specific forms you have to memorize. You already know the forms for every tense and how to go back to the one before, and everything would be good and you will be good to go. Okay, thank you for watching. If you have any question, please do not hesitate to send me an email at amohsen.ascoli@gmail.com and follow me at Learn with Maha. Thank you for watching again and have a nice day. Bye.